Excellencies, distinguished guests and organisers of this Global Gold Convention 2023. IBMC, thank you guys, you're doing a great job, very difficult at this time with so many people in the UAE, in Dubai for COP28. I must say that everyone here, I've been here 27 years, so I feel like a local. Yeah, thank you for having me for so long. And it's amazing, really, it's not in the script, but what the UAE has achieved in my 27 years. My time in the international foreign exchange and bullion markets is the same age as the UAE, 52 years, so congratulations. So, COP28, how many people actually know what COP stands for? So it's the United Nations Conference of the Parties on Climate. So I learned something about this. When I was asked by Sajif to make this industry address, it's amazingly difficult. So where do you start trying to connect climate, COP28, with the global gold industry? So I thought the best thing I could do is to revert to what I do know, which is the physical gold industry, and try to relate climate, environment with the gold industry, which really can't be described as clean. In many ways, we were talking earlier in terms of compliance, and in my view today, 2023, UAE is actually the most compliant physical gold market in the world. Where anywhere else in the world, if you don't follow AML or CFT or responsible supply chain rules and laws, here, if you don't follow it, you can go to prison. You can certainly be fined, and this market is highly regulated by the Ministry of Economy. And I can tell you, having been around the block many times, this is the most regulated market in the world. We had a very interesting cross-table discussion about that was amazing. Anyway, just to pick up, there has been a lot of criticism about the global gold industry. Large scale is kind of okay, I'd say. Medium scale mining, yeah, is fine, but it's the small scale, the artisanal and small scale sector that has not been focused on. But 40% of global gold production comes from the artisanal sector. Now, looking at that, methods are so basic, extraction methods are so basic. You know, in terms of UAE, this is probably the most advanced society in the world. The conditions the artisanal miners work in, you really wouldn't wish it on anyone. And so they have to, but these guys, these men, women, and children, they work to survive. But they're using bad stuff. I mean, they're using mercury in their processes, trying to extract gold from ore, you know, really tiny pieces. And what happens to that mercury when it's spent? It goes into the rivers and streams and into the land surrounding the mining industry. So there are a number of companies and bodies that are trying their best to improve things. And one of them I'm involved with. I'm actually the CEO of the advisory business, which is Goldstrom, which is based in Singapore, but with offices in London and Dubai. Where else, Nick? Ghana. So we have offices in Ghana, and it is working hard to change the world of artisanal gold. And I've been given permission by Nick Drapak, who's the CEO of Goldstrom, and the senior management, to use and share with you an initiative which is really just an example of what many people are doing to change the way things are in the world of artisanal gold. This is just about Goldstrom. So it's a globally integrated precious metals trading business. As I say, offices Singapore, London, Dubai, Hong Kong, and Accra. Professional team of over 250 years of different experience, international backgrounds. I probably make up about 100 of those, but anyway, it has a vision to be the world's leading integrated and sustainable precious metals trading company and the trusted partner of choice for anyone involved in the physical precious metals industry. Its mission is to change the way that precious metals are mined, traded, and invested by combining the best innovative technology, people, communities, and creative and sustainable processes. Ultimately, the view of Goldstrom and myself is to make universally accessible, profitable precious metals ownership and investment, making Goldstrom the world's leading precious metals trading company. It isn't that today, and it may never get that title, but what it's doing is good for the environment and for the climate, that's for sure. Okay, so the way I'm going to look at this, challenges in the ASGM sector, solution, impact investment, and CPI projects. So the challenges in the artisanal and small-scale mining sector. Most artisanal and small-scale mines use a variety of basic, inefficient ore processing technologies which have significant problems and potentially negative impacts, including the recovery of gold. Can you think that less than 30% of the ore that's found, so gold-bearing ore, is actually recovered? Less than 30%. Personnel involved in processing gold ores are affected by the use of mercury and cyanide, although I was corrected today that cyanide is actually too expensive. So it's mercury, and then that has a significant impact on health. Pollution. The lack of guidelines on the use and disposal of toxic chemicals severely pollutes the local environment and ecosystems. And water. The water is contaminated in and around all of these artisanal mining sites, which is really having a massive impact on the local environment. So, introducing the solution, Clean Processing Initiative. So Goldstrom has developed the Clean Processing Initiative as the long-term and sustainable solution. Its objective is to develop a standardized, efficient, and replicable facility that optimizes the processing technique to enable ASGM miners to process their ore inexpensively. Really, it's important. Inexpensively is a big word in this, while achieving a high recovery rate and ensuring environmentally and sustainable practices. This is actually a game changer because 40% of gold mined today comes from the artisanal sector, and really a lot of those are using bad practices. So if this can be introduced across the whole sector, it would have more of an impact on the environment than a lot of what's been talked about at COP28, frankly. So its targets are to achieve at least 80% recovery from the ore. So less than 30% to more than 80%. I was asked to sort of keep a fairly low number. It's more likely to be 90%. And so it's not a cheap thing to do, but in our view, if Goldstrom can help the artisanal miners implement this and as a payback give offtake agreements that enable Goldstrom to make some money, but they are getting a lot more than they ever would, that really is win-win. is to develop a simple operating methodology that can be implemented on a global scale. Not produce any negative environmental impact and potentially transform the way gold is processed throughout the world in the artisanal and small-scale mining sector, and become a trusted and consistent partner with all ASGM miners, acting as the off-taker for each and every artisanal sector in the world. So, impact investing. What does impact investing mean? I've attended a number of conferences talking about impact investing. I've never really understood it, to be honest with you, until I saw this. So, impact investing is defined as the deployment of funds into investments that generate a measurable and beneficial social or environmental impact alongside a financial return on investment. This comes from the United Nations Development Programme and is as good a description of impact investing as I've seen. Goldstrom is committed to making a positive impact with the Clean Processing Initiative. It will help to improve health, it will conserve energy, it will clean up the environment, and it will generate a significant growth in local economies with the people that need it the most. I think it's fair to say that in the gold supply chain, the real winners are the big mining companies. And the real losers, artisanal miners. I mean, they're really at the kind of bottom of the fourth division, as they used to be in England, and they deserve actually to be closer to the Premier League. So, this is a very very complicated chart, even looking at it closely. But what I like about it, it's red and green. So, it's headed up traditional dirty gold. Nick, that is very, very good. And what do we get with the CET, which is the Clean Earth technology, which is developed in Australia and is being implemented by Goldstrom in Ghana particularly. And so what do we get? We get clean gold, not green gold, but clean gold. So I just have to do this because it's not connected, so I've got a bad dick anyway. So anyway, the Clean Processing Initiative. There are two types, actually. One we call CPI Light, and one is CPI Main. Now, the significance of CPI Light, this is particularly relevant for the artisanal sector. It's small scale. Therefore, you can't have, massive equipment in a small-scale artisanal mining area. So Goldstrom's developed CPI Light, which is specific for artisanal mining operations, and is very, very doable and usable, and actually is transportable. It's as simple as it gets. It uses non-toxic reagents to extract the gold. This is the key. It's much more efficient and gives you more gold for your efforts, and is, as I said earlier, is win-win. The CPI Main is really for those areas where you're going to aggregate or consolidate a good amount of material that then can be processed. It's much more, the technology is more expensive, and it's only applicable really in those areas where you can consolidate. The next two slides give much more detail on CPI Light and then CPI Main. So the main benefits of CPI Light: increased recovery, up to 3 times as high as current, direct sale at the mine site, don't have to go elsewhere to see how much gold is there, we know. Reduction in the process time, so it equals more time to the mine. No use of mercury. health, safety, and environmental improvement. Gold provenance and traceability, which we were talking about earlier, knowing which miner has contributed gold to each individual bar of gold that is produced and bought by Goldstrom. We know where the gold came from the miner, from the artisanal miner, right through to selling the kilo bars to the investor at the end of the chain. This is a very complicated slide, Nick. I must say, I thought it was a game of checkers, but it's not. Anyway, look, this just says, this shows you the facility. This presentation, by the way, will be available from the organisers, IBMC, at the end of it, and it contains a lot more detail. Basically, CPI Light, the process methodology, you crush the ore on day 1. Day 2, you leach it. Day 3, you recover the gold from the leaching process. It really is easy as 1, 2, 3. And this is a continuous process with drums continually being crushed, agitated, and recovered. It's like your washing machine that you keep going. It's like my house, actually. The washing machine's always going. And hopefully it's not like my house, it doesn't break down. So, okay. So, CPI main, this is much more complicated, but much bigger. So the key benefits, highly efficient processing operation to dramatically increase the recovery rate, targeting 90% plus. Remember, at the start of this presentation, I was talking about less than 30%. So the same amount of ore now yielding 3 times more and using non-toxic chemicals, reagents, not mercury, not cyanide, if people could afford it, but completely changing the profile. It's healthy. Well, not that working hard is healthy, but yeah, it is, I guess. But healthy, safety, and environmentally improved. Now, we're not making it perfect, but we are improving it, and this is the key. Maybe some would say baby steps. I think this is more like kind of teenage steps, actually. It looks as though we're making fantastic progress. And it's containerized. So what you see on the screen there can be moved. It can be moved from site to site. This is what an open pit gold mine looks like. You can't say it's clean, but what we can say is that using clean processing initiative, we can completely transform the artisanal and small scale and even medium scale mining sectors. So this is my connection of COP28 with the global gold industry. I hope it hasn't been too long and it's been of some interest. Thank you.